Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the Sacredness of Sound with Jeralyn Glass, singer, sound alchemist, and author. Welcome, Jeralyn. So happy you're here with us on this auspicious day, September 11th.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me, Carissa. I'm very excited to be here.
Well, we're honored that you're here to spend time with us. And I'm Charissa Sims, live event host for Humanities Team, a 501c3 nonprofit organization whose mission is to make conscious living pervasive worldwide by 2040. And I'm coming to you live from Lafayette, Colorado. And where are you connecting from today, Jeralyn?
I'm in Los Angeles,
Oh, wonderful. What part of Los Angeles?
south of the airport, but I will be heading up to Colorado actually tomorrow to do an event on Sunday, so I'll be in Boulder.
Oh, wonderful. That's wonderful. Well, I wanted to welcome your audience. Welcome, Jeralyn's audience, and also the Sign Network and those streaming live through the Humanities Team Facebook page, the YouTube channel, and the Stream Plus members that are here now. Thanks so much for being members and being on camera. Welcome. And because it's a live program, we will have time for comments and questions. So try to get your question within the first 30 to 40 minutes, and you can just put it in the chat wherever you're watching, and you can get your question answered by Jeralyn. And then we're going to have a special moment at the end of this interview, and we're so honored, Jeralyn, that you offered this to us. We're going to spend the last 10 to 15 minutes in a healing sound journey in honor of 9/11 and the lives that were lost. So let me share more about Jeralyn Glass. And I'll just have to say on a side note, I love your name. It feels like it was your destiny to play crystal sound bowls.
That is truly my last name. My parents are Jacqueline and Gerald, so they put that together and made Jeralyn. And I think when the family came over from Europe, they had a different last name, and at Ellis Island they were given Glass. So who would have known?
Yeah, it's so beautiful how life works that way. So Jeralyn Glass is an internationally acclaimed singer, musician, and leader in the field of sound healing who has been sharing the gift of music medicine with the world for decades. She began her career on Broadway and has sung on opera and concert stages around the globe and offers a unique alchemical blend of classical music, meditation, and high vibrational sound. She has performed alongside New Thought leaders and best-selling authors, merging quantum science, bioenergetics, and crystalline sound vibration. Jeralyn helps people facilitate healing and transformation with the power of music and sacred frequencies that nourish our bodies, connect us with our hearts, and awaken our consciousness. She created the Sacred Science of Sound educational platform and the Crystal Cadence Sound Healing Studio and Temple of Alchemy, where over 500 crystal tones singing bowls are available for purchase. And she offers her internationally acclaimed crystal singing bowl trainings and consultations, personally curating the bowl mates. Oh, I think I need that. Jeralyn is the author of Crystal Sound Healing Oracle, the first interactive deck of its kind, as well as a much anticipated book on crystalline sound healing. And I have it right here. This book is amazing. And look at the cover. That even the blue and the purple are just high vibration, spiritual energy with like, I like the cover. How did you come up with that? Is that something created by the crystal bowls?
Yes, that's actually an image from John Stewart Reed's cymoscope, an instrument that shows what sound looks like made visible. So that was a tiny 6-inch F note bowl, F being the note of the heart, but up here because it's a very high octave. So it's charcoal and palladium, that was the alchemy. And what made it so unusual is, as you see in the image you showed, there's 22 of those little antinodes. And my son was born in Germany at 22:22, 10:22 at night. And so it just felt like such a beautiful image, sound, and the connection to his birth time. And how sound transforms us.
Yeah, that's incredible. All of those synchronicities that you're talking about and signs with the twos. And then it just also feels like sacred geometry. Is that what it's creating from the sound, is sacred geometry?
Yeah, I mean, what I've come to really realize is if you imagine that we're 70% approximately water fluids in our body, and that's what the sound from the crystal bowls looks like when it's made visible, then imagine that those shapes are being activated within our own human system when you hear the bowls. So it's bringing us to a great state of harmony and of beauty and helping us to relieve any sense of stress or disharmony. So it's a
Yeah.
great visual to see, like, oh, wow, that's what the sound looks like.
It's powerful. It's powerful. And I've heard people that say, I've had this pain in my arm and nothing worked, but I went to a sound bath and then the pain was gone. So there's something pure about those healing vibrations. What do you think that is that penetrate us in a way where maybe we're more receptive or open to it? What is that?
That's a great question. So, our bodies are crystalline in structure. So, our bodies have a crystalline structure in our bones and in our blood. And for many years, I played the Himalayan singing bowls, the Tibetan singing bowls, which I love. They're metal. But when I heard the crystal singing bowls 18 years ago, something was different about it. There was something very pristine, as you said, and very exquisite about the sound. It's very focused. And I think because we are crystalline in nature, our human bodies, that the sound can be very, very easily received. And so in my own experience with the bowls, suddenly you hear the sound and you go, oh wow, music, right? It's like it's a sound that what I've been using at first when I used them 18 years ago, I used them as a musical instrument. I didn't use them as a sound healing tool. I just thought they were so beautiful that they were instruments. But what happens, I think, is that it quiets the thinking mind and you focus on it as if you're focusing on music. And then suddenly you drop deep within yourself. And that's really, Charissa, where healing happens. It doesn't happen here in the mind. As my singing teacher used to say, nothing really vibrates there. You have to allow this vibration to enter into your body. And I think the crystalline singing bowls are very, very easily received by our human system.
Oh, that's so amazing. And the way you explained it just really made sense to me. And I love that. So I hope that was clear for our audience. And we do have a comment from the chat. Jeffrey says the water in our body is crystalline. Also,
Yes.
yeah, good
It's
point.
all really related. And I think if you don't know John Stewart Reed's work, he's an amazing acoustic scientist in England. And we've done an experiment where I had him use the cymoscope on a series of F note bowls because I was very interested. F technically corresponds to the heart chakra. What would that mean? Would they have the most beautiful cymoscope image? But each single bowl is different. And that makes me also realize that every one of us has our own unique vibrational signature. So, Charissa, you make sounds and vibrations that are different than I do. And this is the beauty that I like to think of all of us as members of a unique orchestra, this human orchestra, and each of us brings our own particular vibrational signature. And when we express that and allow it to express itself freely, and when we know how to tune our human instruments, we can make incredible music together. And there's harmony and there's unity.
Yes. Well, you have an amazing course on Stream Plus, Crystal Alchemy Sacred Sound Immersions, crystalline sounds for higher consciousness. And I'd like to play a short clip from your course. Can we play that first clip?
So, sound is a medicine that touches us very deeply. And especially the music of these crystal alchemy singing bowls helps to still the thinking mind And so it helps to bring us into a deep sense of calm and focus where the mind gets to concentrate on the music. And in that moment, we drop deep into ourselves and touch our authentic vibrations. We touch the place of our soul. So the sound baths are all very different. There will be different singing bowls which have different alchemy. So for example, in this set here, we're working with a 432 hertz endocrine set. So what does that mean? A set that is using the notes for the endocrine system is made up of the pentatonic scale in music. So it's made up of the 5 black notes. And that in combination is working with the sexual organs, the adrenals, pancreas, the thymus gland, the thyroid, parathyroid, and the pineal pituitary, and so much more. So the sound baths that I'm offering for you will never be one-to-one. I can explain to you or write to you what they are comprised of, and yet there is no one-size-fits-all, and everybody will experience each time that you listen and receive the sound bath will experience something a little bit different. So true.
I love the joy on your face seeing yourself in the clip.
I just remembered how excited I was to actually create a series of sound baths that people can understand. They're like different little symphonies, so depending, I'm going to play something for you today that's very unique, but each set of bowls is unique unto that set. And each person will react differently. And it's like the same song, you listen to a particular song that you love, and one day you're in tears, and then the next time you listen to it, you found this place of stillness, and it just activates perhaps the memory, but it doesn't bring the tears. Or one time you listen to it and you just feel right. And it's the same. I wanted to create something special for your humanities channel that really would hold people in all different kinds of situations, whether it's trauma or grief or physical pain, depression, anxiety, just working with things that would help me to elevate to a higher consciousness. Sound really has the ability to help us with that and really let go and release things so that we can be the true light that we are.
That's so beautiful. I just feel compelled to share a story about myself. It's putting myself out there, being a little bit vulnerable, but I did my first sound bath in Los Angeles, in Culver City, in the hills, and I had an interesting response. I went so deep, I had a visceral response where I actually vomited. I had to go out. I think I was experiencing a lot of things were coming up for me. So I'll just share. I mean, that was pretty intense. But the next time I went on a sound bath, I went on a journey, and like I was with an animal, and an owl was giving me guidance. So it was kind of interesting. You'll have a different response every time, right?
Definitely. I mean, and just to explain what might have happened to you
Mm-hmm.
is that if the practitioner is creating a very, for me, it's really important that you create a sacred space. And what does that mean? It means that it's safe, that with sound, I create a safe container so that people can drop in and they can begin to feel perhaps things that you've tucked away, perhaps things where there's been blockages or the energy has done a go around because that was too tough for you. So in that moment when you're feeling safe and held in sound and in its integrity and in its musical structure, perhaps suddenly you go deep into that place and the nausea is because you're releasing something that's been held, right? I don't know how you felt afterwards, but there really is, sound can bring all kinds of reactions. I've experienced so many things with clients and patients and myself.
That's fascinating. And you consider sound medicine. So how do you consider that medicine, sound?
Yeah, so I was honored to present in Washington, D.C. last December at a conference called Music as Medicine. And it was some of our leading scientists and researchers and medical doctors and music therapists. And I feel in my own experience that there are many things for us as human beings and for example, if we think about really this day many years ago, that there is no pill to take us through what we experience in our lives, and there is a medicine that can happen in music that suddenly, as I said earlier, the thinking mind is quieted. And I'm thinking of perhaps like also now a Parkinson's patient who, and I've worked with a number of them, who suddenly stops shaking as they hear the music. And it's like, what is happening? Or a veteran who says, I've experienced everything from rape and trauma and war and losing my friends. And here I am in this sound bath, and I've never felt this kind of relief. No med has ever given me that, right? So I feel like it's important that we understand that health and healing is a combination of many, many things, and it has to do with wholeness. And, of course, we would like, when we're suffering from something, we would like a pill or something that can just take it away. But I feel like music can hold us and really be that medicine. As I said, like when you got nauseous, there was a safety in order for you to feel that and to release whatever that was being held inside you. Music as a medicine is something that every culture has used since the beginning of time, whether people sing together, dance together, play together. Music is something that can connect our hearts. And I feel like, especially in today's world where there are no answers for many, many things, I can play music, I can listen to the crystal singing bowls, I can sing with them, whatever it is that you love. And again, there's no one size fits all. It's so what feels good to you? Do you like, and especially so for our course with you, do you like when I play a pentatonic scale? Do you like when I play something in the musical key of F? What feels good to you in that moment? Music truly, it's been my medicine, and I can speak from experience that I lost my only child 9 years ago, and there was no way through the grief except for to sit in it and have the courage to sit in it and breathe and feel it, because no form of medication would take away the fact that my son had passed on, right? And how do we deal with these kinds of things to then ignite us to be the light that we are? And I think all of us have this question on some level. When things happen in our lives, can music be that balm? Can music be that medicine that gives me safety so I can breathe and feel the things that I feel, they're unfeelable. I didn't want to go into the grief, but I knew that I had no choice. And music held me safe in order to do that. And then I watched, Charissa, as healing happened. I watched as light came back into my eyes. I mean, it wasn't instant, but I would see piece by piece by piece. And then a bridge that was built to connect through sound vibration to my son. And, I can say this now, the journey has been, incredible. And I think there's no one way to go, but music became my way through the darkness back to the light.
Mm. That's so profound. I'm getting a little teary-eyed
Oof.
because my son, I have a 12-year-old, but he almost died. And to have him be alive, it's just, your book is so moving. It's so powerful. It integrates science, but also your personal journey. And Dr. Sue Morter wrote the foreword to the book. And I definitely cried when I read this, because she took your son's picture to the top of the mountain. Look, when you could, okay, you have it right there. There's Dr. Sue Morter. I mean, that is so moving. And she, did that for you. It takes a village, it takes a community to get over some intense grief like that. I can only imagine. Well, yeah, thank you for being vulnerable and sharing that personal journey that you had of grief. And I was just curious, was it you yourself playing the sound bowls, or did you go to other people where they played the sound? And how was that healing journey for you?
I think being a musician all my life, I started professionally at age 19 on Broadway. And so I I guess I was going to talk therapy at the time, just sometimes 3 times a week, 2 hours a session. So sometimes I was trying to talk it through 6 hours a week. And, it comforted somewhat. But as you know, words can't take us to where we really need to go because we need to be able to drop in and feel. So I could talk, talk, talk and try to figure it out and turn myself inside out, why me, why my son, why now, like, et cetera, et cetera. It doesn't bring anything. But music helped to just drop me in and begin to feel it.
Yeah, that's beautiful.
Say again what you wanted me to
Oh,
speak
I was
into.
just wondering if the sound healing, did you do it on yourself or
Yeah.
did someone, you did? Okay, yeah.
Yeah,
Or I was
because
just curious if you had a practitioner helping you with the sound bath. Mhm.
I think where I was going, and I got emotional. So,
Oh, yeah. No,
um,
I want to give you space for that too.
I
Yeah.
was going to an outside person, but I think what this whole process has been for me is how do I awaken within myself my own innate ability to heal? And I think that's a question really for all of us because we're used to going outside ourselves and finding something perhaps external. And I knew for me that, people would say to me at the beginning, Charissa, well, you'll never get over it. I mean, basically, that's your life and, it's done. And it's like, no, that can't be. There has got to be a bigger purpose and meaning to it. So I just sat and explored with the bowls. And the first bowl that I took to really help me process the grief was a selenite bowl. And selenite as a stone is symbolic of a connection between heaven and earth. It's helping to build a bridge. And that's what I felt when I first started working with that particular bowl. I felt a misty white presence in the room. I could feel my son. I could feel a safety. I could feel him guiding me. And then I just started to keen and groan and express the grief that I couldn't get out in the talk therapy because just sounds that your heart is expressing through vibration, a feeling that there is no words for, right? And so when I think about, and you've expressed the word vulnerable, like for me, this whole process of going deep in your own stuff, whatever that is for each of us, it needed to be for me a journey that I traveled with myself and that I could help guide myself and that I felt my son's presence. But it was music and me. And that was a language that I know so well, right? So, and you're so incredibly vulnerable. There's not really a handbook we're not really taught what do you do when death is in front of you. And it's more normal that you would lose a parent, and we talk about that you lose your past when you lose a parent. If you lose a partner, you lose your present. But if you lose a child, it's sort of it's not the natural timing of life. And I felt like I lost my future. And I've come to understand that we just have a different future, that my son is very present through sound vibration and through music. And we're dancing together, crossing the bridge, heaven to earth. And, when I say that to you and I smile, at the beginning, I never, ever, ever thought that I could get to this point. I just didn't think I could. But that's why I'm so passionate about sharing the singing bowls and sharing the power of music because it has transformed me.
Yeah. Yeah, I can feel that. And what I find fascinating also is this in-depth experience that you had with the spirit and soul of your son that came to you. You're creating this field of like love and light. And then he came in and that I think is so healing too when we can connect on the other side with the spirit.
Yeah, and what I would realize is when I sunk deep into grief, like when I just felt like I couldn't get out of my bed and I couldn't move, I couldn't find him. And, there ensues kind of a panic of, well, where are you? I've been in communication with you, but where are you now? Did I lose you? Did I lose you forever? And I think at one of these moments, I recognized if I didn't get myself out of my bed and start to help other people, I'm not sure that I could have, so to speak, raised my vibrational frequency. And so I had a real inspiration to call the Cancer Support Community, which is a nonprofit that works with cancer patients with natural ways of helping them cope and their families with cancer. And I said I'd like to offer sound baths. And I had never led a sound bath, right? I would just, and they said
It
yes.
just came out of your mouth, like, just like, oh my gosh, that's so amazing. That was channeled for sure. That's like your purpose coming through.
And I wrote a script, and I was like, okay, I'm glad their eyes are closed because I don't want them to see me reading my script, and it was just like, Jeralyn, but I knew that I had to get outside of my own grief or I never would. I would stay focused with that. And that experience of sharing with others, just what you said earlier, in Dr. Sue's community, I was taken in as a family member, and it was like, oh my goodness, this family held me. And with the cancer patients, we became a community that was held together by harmony, by sound. And I remember one time after a sound bath, I just sat in awe and felt, as we were all sharing together, there's nothing in this room but love. Music, and as a young singer, I had a quote that I loved that said, music is love in search of a word. And I remember sitting after one of those initial sound baths and just feeling there's nothing but love in this room. And the sound has transformed people's grief, people's concern, people's anxiety, people's worry. And we were together in one group that was whole, and the music brought love. I just remember, like, wow, what a gift this is.
Mm. And was that in person?
Yeah, that was in person. That was
That was
all
in person.
well before COVID. Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
amazing. Amazing. Well, I did want to ask you a question from our audience.
Mhm.
Deborah from Facebook asks, what music style and or artists helped you during your journey?
Oh, that's a great question. I think for me personally, it was the bowls. So again, like, I love so much music, so many different kinds of music, and I got to sing great American standards, popular song. My teacher, who's 102 years old today,
What's their birthday today?
no, it's not her birthday, but I mean, she had a birthday in July,
Oh,
but she's 102 years old and she still sings. She gave me early Italian songs, German lieder, French chanson, opera stuff, Gershwin, so many different kinds of styles of music. So I think when it came to my own grief, I sat with the bowls. That's really what did it. And there were certain songs. My son's name is Dylan. There were certain songs that he loved, and I'd listen sometimes to those pop songs. But I think for me, it was really using the sound bowls. And again, like that first bowl that I used that really released the grief, it was a G sharp note. Okay, so at that point in time, I was just exploring. I wasn't into it in the depth that I am now. Technically, the G sharp note is here. It's called the zeal point chakra, between your throat chakra and your third eye. So, and sometimes that's referred to as the mail slot to God. So I found it incredibly interesting that was the first bowl that I played. So it was opening up my ability to connect to spirit, was opening up my third eye, at the same time opening up my throat. And then the selenite bringing that energy of connection, heaven, earth. That was my music. As I started to move through the grief, I loved to include in the sound baths a song like Count Your Blessings by Irving Berlin, which is from the movie White Christmas. Sometimes Ave Maria I would sing, but it was more just, or Amazing Grace, it was more just like kind of standard, deep, meaningful songs for me that I would sing with the bowls also. But I think originally, to really answer your question, it was more making sound because the grief was so intense. I needed that to help me move it.
Hmm. Yeah, that makes sense. Well, thank you for that question,
Mm.
Deborah. I love that question. And then how you were talking about playing Amazing Grace and different opera and integrating that. So that's wonderful. So I'd like to play a second clip from Stream Plus where you talk about each bowl having a unique blend of properties and amplifying differently. Can we play?
This connection to the earth is so important now. And we have planted and we will be harvesting and planting a deeper vision. Lemurian seed crystal, ancient memories of harmony. Tibetan quartz copper, activating the electric body, tiger's eye, and white light angel gold. And tiger's eye this is a very, very special bowl with the heart. This is a morph bowl. It was broken and it was able to be repaired. And so this bowl brings a special element to the heart of healing and of our ability to knit our hearts back together after they have been broken. There's a lot of brokenness right now. And we hold space in this sacred sound bath for hearts to come back together, to be knitted into wholeness, and that inspiration can arise in each of us. Phenakite and palladium. Phenakite, portals of light. Palladium, childlike joy and wonder and innocence. Charcoal, and another divine cryon twin flame. So I invite you to receive these incredible alchemies, an advanced chakra set, deeply grounding, amazingly accelerating. And let's experience healing sound, integration, and wholeness. So funny, I just played that bowl. I created a set that we recorded, and that bowl, that was an insane story. I was holding it in my hand, and we were making a little video. This was a few years ago, and the bottom of that bowl just fell out like it was violent. It just cracked in my hand, and I remember
Did it hurt?
No, because it didn't, it wasn't
Oh,
sharp.
got it. Just cracked.
The bottom just fell out of the bowl. It cracked into two pieces. And I was like, what was I doing? What was going on with me? What happened? Thankfully, they were able to repair it. And so now that bowl has a completely different sound. And we actually did a CymaScope image of that bowl because I was curious, is it going to be totally different than others? But it actually wasn't. So I don't know. It's just interesting. It made me pose the question, when we get broken, again, how do we heal? And in this case, the bowl was able to be repaired, but it was a symbol for me of what was happening in my own life. How was I healing? How was my heart healing? And that note was a big F bowl, and tiger's eye is about, strength and courage. And so, for those of you who love crystals, the crystals do have properties that get amplified. So if we talk about quartz being an amplifier, a receiver, a transmitter, the alchemies that are infused in those pure quartz bowls get also transmitted and amplified. So there really is a difference for me when I'm playing, let's just say, a charcoal bowl, which has a lot to do with cleansing and clearing, or let's say a rose quartz bowl, which is working with the heart. And then you put them all together. And again, each of us is going to have a different experience, but the rose quartz will be activating love, helping to amplify self-love for many people. The charcoal will be clearing negativity, toxicity. And again, I can only put the orchestra together and make sure that it's incredibly harmonic. And then away we go. It's when I think about, a long career in music and doing, for example, performances, a series of performances of the Ninth Symphony of Beethoven, or My Fair Lady, 456 performances of the same show. Like, it is up to us as the musician to create it anew every time for the audience. That's our responsibility. We can never go through music as rote. It's just, there's so much beauty in it that the more I finely tune my human instrument to be present and to express the music in whatever way I'm feeling, excuse me, at the moment, that's my job. And so it's important to know, like, the bowls will never play the same twice. They just don't. And the more present that we can become, whether, Charissa, it's, you say like you're receiving it from a sound practitioner or you're actually playing the bowl or the bowls themselves, it's opening ourselves to be truly present and to discover anew what is happening in the music for me. Does that make sense?
Hmm. Yeah. Yeah. That's amazing. And then I was just curious how, so you have a teacher, she's 102. And luckily, she got to teach you all of this wisdom. And so, does she share about the properties? Do you come up with the healing properties, or is there some book or
No, no,
something?
no, no. She was my singing teacher. So
Singing teacher,
she
not
had
crystal
nothing to do
bowl
with the
teacher.
bowls. The bowls I really taught myself. And
Oh, good. Thank you for clarifying that.
yeah, no, no, no. She's
Okay.
because the bowls themselves are only 24 years old. They were pretty much came out in the year 2000. So they are quite a modern instrument that there's not been a lot of research. And I'm excited to say that we are collaborating, the Sacred Science of Sound and Crystal Cadences, collaborating with Minerva Institute, which is in San Francisco. And it's been voted 3 years in a row the most innovative university in the world. And we created a lab last year, music, health, and wellness, and the brain. And starting to work with the bowls just to start to collect some scientific evidence. As you asked me at the beginning, well, how are they really helping people to heal? You know, we have all kinds of anecdotal experiences and stories and notes and case studies that we've done, but there's not been any real scientific study yet behind the crystal singing bowls. I'm fascinated for us to discover. But, you know, when I talk to, for example, Dr. Daniel Levitin, who's a leading neuroscientist, you know, he just keeps encouraging me to do the work that I'm doing in the world and to recognize again that music, it's what you love. That's going to help your heart. That's going to help tune you. So the question that Deborah asked, you know, what does Jeralyn love? You know, I'd send it back to Deborah and say, like, what do you love? What feels good to you? In other words, that's going to be the lead into what our own unique medicine is. What feels good to you? And what feels good to you on this particular day?
Oh, yeah. That's incredible. Well, I'm really excited for this research to come out to help more and more people. And are you a professor as well?
Uh-huh. I'm not active in the university anymore because I think you can understand when my son died, he was 19 and I finished out my school year and it was too much to be around young people his age. I had to stop what I was doing in that form and I had to go deeply inside myself to really discover what is the bigger purpose, what's the bigger meaning for all of this. So yes, I was a university professor for 9 years.
Oh,
Yeah.
wow. What school did you teach at?
Chapman University, and then I taught also at the Munich Conservatory. So I taught voice, professor of
Uh-huh.
singing, created classes for dancers who had to sing and actors who had to sing because that I know what that would feel like to, you know, when I had to do a dance audition and I wasn't really a dancer. So it was fun to help people to become very, very creative and again to take their attention off their thinking mind that might say, oh, no, 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 you can't sing, but to really drop in their body and experience an embodied sense of, hey, me is my instrument and I'm singing in my most natural and most correct way. So I had a lot of fun creating those classes. Yeah, in
Yeah.
Germany, I created a kids foundation. We ran a 501c3 for a number of years called Kids for Kids, where the idea was we created musical productions with young people. And then the proceeds, which were about $35,000 a year, plus donations, we created a music therapy program. So I always knew that music had the ability to really help in many, many ways, but it wasn't really until my own son passed that I had to dive in and go deep, deep inside there.
Yeah, and the first clip that we played from your course on Stream Plus, you talked about healing the endocrine system, and I was fascinated by that. And so you can do this through sound. How did you discover this specific targeted healing based on the bowl?
So technically, there's not a proof of that. But I can tell you
Right.
with
It's
my,
just energetic. You
it's
feel it.
energetic. You
You
can
feel
feel
it.
it.
Yeah.
So those black notes on the piano, and I write about it in the book, create the pentatonic scale. And those notes seem to vibrate between the chakras. So when, for example, I work with many of the cancer patients who would ask me, what is that bowl? What is that bowl? And then they would say
Mm.
to me, for example, I had a D sharp bowl, and that D sharp technically resonates between the second chakra and the third chakra. I'll never forget one woman who said, I feel it right there. So she identified it right in that area. She said, that's where I just had my chemo. That's where my cancer is. And that was one to one. That was a definite one to one experience. So I think, again, these are the things that I really want to explore the science
Mhm.
behind it. Does it mean that if I'm using a D sharp note, will it universally be for everybody that it works in that area of the body? We don't know the answers to that yet.
Mhm. Right. But you will.
You
You're
know,
us. I mean,
and there's that mystery, Chris. I mean,
well,
as you know,
that's
there's
true.
that just there's that ineffable quality of music. But technically, if we say, okay, those particular notes correspond the F sharp to the thymus gland. So, for example, especially during COVID, that note, I played that note an awful lot because we needed to strengthen our immunity, and the thymus is working with our immune system. Did that have a big effect? I think so. But do I have, scientific proof of it? Not yet. No, we don't.
Right, right. I understand. Have you ever integrated your singing with playing the bowls? Do you do both?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I have a number of albums. So the first album after Dylan passed, I made in 2017, is called Forever Love. And we took traditional songs such as Nature Boy, Bob Dylan's Forever Young, and for me to just be able to sing again because I couldn't. Right? That was a really intense project. And there were moments where I had to walk out of the recording studio because I was overcome with grief, right? So for me in that moment, I guess going back to certain songs helped me to push through the grief, trying me as a singer to sing them. Then we made a second album, Vibrance, which is a little more jazz album with Lawrence Hobgood Trio. That's with bowls, and then Dr. Sue and I made a Christmas album, which I love. She loves, called The Holy Days. That's all different arrangements of traditional Christmas songs with singing bowls. And
Dr.
now
Sue
we,
Morter?
uh huh,
Oh my, that's amazing.
it's
I have to
wonderful.
get that for
It's a
Christmas.
Yeah, but check that out.
Yeah.
You can get that on our website, and it's on all the streaming platforms. But what we did was I took traditional Christmas songs and infused them with singing bowls, and then Dr. Sue did meditations to those songs. So it's a double album. That's a wonderful album. And then there's lots of albums and music that I've made. We just have a new album called the Pentatonic Visions that's in Grammy consideration now. That's all about the pentatonic scale. So it's technically all about using those notes that correspond to the endocrine system. And that's up. And then I created a solo song called Joy Reboot that gathered together a number of my colleagues, Londrell, who's a spiritual rapper, Johnny Harrison, who's an incredible kirtan singer, Victor Wooten, five-time Grammy Award-winning bass
Oh,
player.
oh
So
wow.
we're
We have to have some of those musicians join us on Humanities Team. That sounds amazing, like a power team.
it's great. So that came out too. Both of those released, Joy Reboot and Pentatonic Visions, and both are in the Grammy consideration. So yeah, I mean, as I said to you earlier, like when I first heard those bowls, I wanted to use them as an instrument, because for me they were like sort of like bells, but not really. And they like I would play a lot with a harp player or with a violinist, just with keyboard, with flute, with cello. Like they go beautifully as an instrument. I created a couple of arias. So I created a Puccini aria and then the aria Rusalka by Dvorak. We made a string arrangement and put bowls in that. So it's like I get fascinated, and I write about it in the book in the last chapter, like, where's music going? I work with Janae Aiko, who is an incredible singer, and she's made a lot of albums now in the last couple of years with integrating bowls, and those are being heard by millions of people around the world. So I'm kind of excited about if this is really a new instrument that can be integrated in music, where is it going to take us? And will there be symphonies that are really infused? And I speak in the book about like if Beethoven was alive today, what kind of symphony or Mozart would they be composing with crystal bowls in it? Because I think they're a very unique instrument that's, again, been born 24 years ago. Do you know the
pretty
story
new.
of how they started?
Oh, I would love to hear. Sure.
In the
I don't
19
know. I
in
don't
the
know.
1980s in Silicon Valley, because quartz can be fired at high temperatures, quartz crucibles were used to fire computer chips. That's how they started. And then many of them broke and some didn't, and it was discovered that, hey, you could use those as an instrument. And then the alchemy bowls were born out of that in the year 2000.
Wow, that's incredible. I had no idea. Amazing. And Lori has a comment from the audience. She says, how fun. So, uh, and then she also wanted to know, and I do too, actually, what was the cancer organization you mentioned in the beginning, heal like a holistic natural
Yeah.
cancer?
It's called Cancer Support Community. It's a 501(c)(3) that's across the United States and in some other countries also. And their sole purpose, I write about that in the book too, and there's stories from some of the cancer patients, is to support people and their families with holistic ways. So for perhaps they offer yoga classes, they offer qigong classes, they offer different alternatives, as we spoke about earlier. Like when you have that diagnosis, you may not be able to, there might not be a cure for you, but the idea is that you can still transform and heal what is possible in your life situation, if that makes sense. We want to come to a sense of peace and acceptance, and these alternative things can help us. So Cancer Support Community, and there's pretty much, they're stretched all across the United States. I worked with the local one here in Los Angeles.
Oh, thank you for
Really,
sharing that.
yeah,
Yeah.
incredible. Yeah.
Well, I'd like to play that third clip where you talk about sacred sound brings new beginnings. Can we play that clip?
Hello and welcome, everyone. I'm Professor Jeralyn Glass, and this sacred sound, crystal alchemy sound bath, is for renewal, regeneration, for new beginnings, for celebrating unlimited possibilities within each of us. And sound, for those of you who don't know the crystal alchemy singing bowls, they are made of pure quartz. And that quartz gets infused with semi-precious gemstones, minerals, earth substances, and precious metals. And there's something about not just the pristine sound, but the beauty of the bowls, made of that pure quartz, and quartz being an amplifier, a transmitter, and a receiver, can help us to go into places in our bodies where perhaps we did a go-around, where perhaps there was too much pain, there was trauma, there was confusion, there was chaos, and our system did a go-around. What happens is the sound is accepted easily by our human bodies because the sound is quartz, it's made of quartz, and so is our cellular structure. So are our bones. And so the body receives the sound very easily and can help us to repair, help us to come into those places where we had to go around, we had to avoid because it was too much. And now we can bring ourselves through sacred sound back to an integration and a wholeness. I've seen along the years now, so for perhaps with a cancer patient who just, expresses, like I think of one who expressed she had stage 4 liver cancer, and she just said, all I can say to you is that I'm no longer afraid of dying because I've heard the sounds of heaven. And she was a traditional meditator. She had never meditated with sound. She had always meditated in stillness. I mean, there's just so many stories about those kinds of things, how sound helps us to drop in and breathe and feel the things that, we say, oh, it's too much, it's too big. And then it helps us to discover where we've pocketed, tucked things away that, we weren't able to feel at the time.
Yeah, and I just wanted to share I did this sound bath, New Beginnings, and I highly recommend headphones so that you can get the full binaural beats experience, right? Um, well, we're coming to an end because I want you all to experience Jeralyn Glass's powerful crystalline. Oops, that was a mistake. I think no problem. So, but I wanted to share that Jeralyn is connected and has done so many sound healings with celebrities, and she's got all these incredible testimonials for her sessions and her book. And I just want to read one from Gwyneth Paltrow. She said, "A session with Jeralyn Glass is magic. I'm thrilled that her wisdom and relationship to sound is bound in this book." So just kudos to you and the impact that you're making in the world. All right. Well, and maybe you can do a 7 minute sound bath. Can you set a timer or something for that? So now we're going to experience Jeralyn.
Thank you very much. And I just invite everybody, this is a very special day in the history of the world. I invite us to gather together in this spirit of collaboration and in this spirit of unity and embodying the highest light that each one of us is capable of. So I invite you to close your eyes, or you can watch however you'd like to experience the sound. It can be a meditation, it can be a concert. And allowing your breath to slow down. Receive this crystalline sound, simply noticing that there are deeper tones that help to ground you, connect you to the earth. There are centering sounds that bring you home, comfortable and safe in your own body. And there are expansive sounds. Sounds that help you to become aware more and more of the pure potential that you are. Shimmering sound. Gently put a hand on your heart and one hand on your belly. And feel that connection. Your heart and your inner wisdom. And gently stretching. Yawning. And opening your eyes to harmony, to grounding, to wholeness, and to a brand new day, brand new possibilities. Thank you, Charissa, for having me. Thank you, everyone, for joining us. What a great joy and an honor to share the healing power of sacred sound.
Thank you, Jeralyn, and thank you everyone for joining us for the Sacredness of Sound with Jeralyn Glass. So Jeralyn's course, Crystal Alchemy Sacred Sound, is available now on the Stream Plus platform. So join now and gain immediate access to this incredible program. And you also get access to other incredible spiritual teachers and programs. We're proud to say that Humanity Stream Plus is the largest global streaming platform for consciousness raising masterclasses and transformational education. I wanted to thank the production team, Jim Gray, Garth Catterall, Nanette Kennedy, Steve Farrell, Dee Meyer, and the rest of Humanity's team. It's been such a pleasure to connect with you today, Jeralyn. And Jeralyn's going to be at a sound bath in Boulder if anyone's local. I have to do a
Yeah,
little
on
plug for you.
Sunday, the 15th, with Jonathan Goldman and Kimba
Yeah,
Aram,
yeah.
we're sharing the sacred sound with you at 3 p.m. at the Unity Church. So
Well, thank you for offering your vibration and your incredible healing bowls. Many blessings, everyone.